Hey y'all, so I'm here in Orlando. I'm about to head on down to the gym, but I just want to tell y'all that there's going to be a lot of missing footage from episode 7. Um, so I'm going to go to the gym and I'll let y'all watch episode 7. All right. Today's episode is reasons to not get into hotels. Now, these are my own personal thoughts, so I mean, some people may not have the same experience I've had, but I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different properties, and they all seem to follow the same mold, the same trend. So, without further ado, let's hop to it. Okay. So, the first reason to not get into hotels is the fact that most of them are foreign owned. Now, I'm sure y'all can read between the lines on what I mean. I'm not sure what I can say, what I cannot say, but most of the hotels are foreign owned. And with these foreign owners, a lot of the times they do they just do exactly what they want to do. And a lot of the times it's not right. And okay, for for example, I used to work with this one foreign owned hotel, my first foreign owner ever. And, here I am thinking, like, oh, this is just like the corporate entity because they have to follow the same guidelines. No, no, not at all. Not only was this person probably one of the worst people to work for, he would pass himself off as nice, even though he wasn't. He's always nice to me though, because I just don't. I'm not about them kind of games. But whenever I was at this property, this guy was. It's just my assumption. He owned other hotels too. And this guy was cooking the books so bad. He was cooking the books so bad that I have another story too. This guy was cooking the books so bad that a former employee that used to work there was getting served garnishment papers. Well, the employee wasn't there, and because they were cooking a book so bad, they didn't know which which hotel to serve or to whatever it is that they have to do with the garnishment. So, I mean, this this guy would write checks off of a different property's account to cash at the other property, and the same thing and vice versa. And so back to the whole garnishment thing. Well, the hotel itself, the LLC itself ended up getting sued for, I think it was for like damages or something like that, because they wouldn't garnish this person's wages, which wasn't there anymore. It was it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess. So instead of the owner holding himself accountable like a normal sane person would, he decided that he would throw the GM under the bus and fire her over his mistakes. This coffee is disgusting, but it's doing the trick. Now, another time before that, I worked for another. Oop. Well, the secret's out of the bag now. So I worked for that hotel. And now this is how cheap this person was. This other owner was. This is how cheap he was. So the hotel on their website said in the amenities or whatever it was on the website that says free breakfast. Now I'm not sure if I mentioned this in a prior episode, but this fool, let's say we had 100 people in house. And what I mean by in house is 100 people that are checked into the hotel. This fool would only have enough food for maybe like 10 people. And then people, whenever we would run out of food, people would be pissed. So I told my GM about it, and I told her, I'm like, hey, like I'm from um, the corporate entity, and I'm pretty sure this isn't right. This is not on brand standards. It's very misleading. So she goes to her regional, well, our regional at the time, and so they ended up buying some more breakfast stuff, but it still wasn't enough to feed everybody, assuming everybody would come down for breakfast. So instead of ordering a little bit extra, he he was now ordering, let's say like 100 people in house or checked in. He will order maybe like 90 different items, and they were like crap items too, stuff that you would feed your kids. So so yeah, that was another lousy owner. I've also heard of them being worse with them not paying their bills. And one bill in particular is the Cisco bill. Now, the Cisco is now that's the food delivery truck. So that's what you have to have inside your hotel. If you're getting your Cisco turned off, something clearly is not right. So so I've heard of Cisco's being turned off. Uh, the hotel that I was at, where the owner was cooking the books, the internet almost got turned off. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I can tell you this: I will never, ever, ever work for another person like that again. Even though they're all different people, they still follow that same business model, which is starve the hotel, don't invest into your employees, and don't invest in your customer experience at all. Just continue riding it into the ground until it just no longer functions, or you get enough complaints that the corporate entity comes in, investigates, and finally deflags your hotel. Now, whenever the corporate entity deflags your hotel, anything with the corporate entity's logo on it gets taken out. The computer system gets shut off. The flags get taken down off of the poles. Even if it's even if it's a single pen on the desk, that's getting taken up because it has the corporate entity's logo on it. So um, that's that. Now, and that's just a few instances. I'm gonna have to get into some other stories too, but I don't have the time today. Okay. Reason number two to not get into hotels is because of the turnover. The turnover is astronomical. The highest turnover I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, the turnover is so high, you can easily get like 80 hours in a single week, just like that. The turnover is so high there that you can have somebody You can have somebody come in on their first day, leave out for lunch, and never come back. That's how high their turnover is. And, hotel hospitality is, it can be a very difficult business to it can be a difficult business for various different reasons. So basically, like, the turnover is so high that the pressure is now on you to deliver the same results. You'll find yourself delivering the same results of 5 or 6 people when it's just you. And that's another part of the reason why the turnover is so high there. Okay, number 3 reasons the third reason to not get into hotel hospitality. These customer surveys. I cannot stand customer surveys. I get the logic behind it. Trust me, I really do. I get the logic behind it, but I feel like customer surveys should only go to business travelers and people that actually travel for a living. I don't feel like Joe Schmo that has never traveled a day in his life, checks into, let's just say, a Fairfield Inn, on a beer budget, but with Ritz-Carlton taste. And, he comes in on a Saturday and doesn't know anything about how hotels operate. He thinks that the Fairfield Inn should have some kind of bell service or valet service or both. He thinks that the Fairfield Inn should bring him room service, and he also feels as though that he shouldn't have to pay an incidental because he never got it back the last time. And he also thinks that he should have his rate set at $29. That person gets the survey, and then he puts all bad rankings because of his own ignorance. This is part of the reason why I feel like surveys need to be redone. Also, it's just you have a lot of people out there that are truly trying to scam and trying their best to scam. So even though the hotel delivered very, very exceptional service, they're still going to go in and put in bad rankings to try and get some free points or try and get a free night stay or get something for free. They're going to try to get something for free. And let's see. Okay, now reason number 4 to not get into hotels. Bad managers and bad coworkers. Let me say that one more time. Reason number 4 to not get into hotels is because of bad managers and bad coworkers. Now, because of the turnover being so high, you have a lot of people that are pushed up into positions that they're not trained for and they're not ready for. And they probably aren't ready because they haven't had, depending on the position that they're going for, they haven't had the life experience yet to deal with certain things. And the number one constant that you'll always have to deal with and work with is workplace diversity. So if you have somebody that does not have um, the proper life experience or job history, and then they get put into a leadership role, they're going to be failing before long. Um, now, now that's just one instance right there. At the hotel that I worked at prior to the one that I'm in now is a classic example of bad managers. I've said this many times. Super nice people, very, very, very nice people, but they're also bad at their jobs. So, what I mean by bad at their jobs is, they don't want to hold people accountable whenever they should. And that is, their own associates and customers. Now, on to the bad coworkers aspect of it. Unfortunately, in hotels, you're going to, well, actually across the board in every job aspect, you're going to have people that are just not good for the team, they're not good for the customers, and they're not even good at their jobs to layer everything on top of that. So there's been instances where, you know, people, certain coworkers over the years, they would show up late, they would no show, they would stiff their own associates out of tips. I've had I've had some, as soon as you give them a helping hand with something, all of a sudden it magically becomes part of your job experience, your job description. And for example, one of the hotels that I used to work, actually, two of the hotels that I used to work, I would help run food to them. And the proper thing to do is to tip out your busser, tip out your food runner. And these servers and bartenders, they would rack up, let's just say, they would rack up $1 million in tips and tip you $5 sometimes. But they would tip you no more than $20. There was another time uh, where I was a busser at this one hotel downtown Salt Lake City. I was a busser there, and there is this one server, like, she will always stiff me on tips. Now she only did it a couple of times before I eventually caught on and I held her accountable for it. But so like one server would always, like, tip me out 20%, which, whenever I would jump in and help serve at this past hotel I was at, I will always tip everybody out 20%. But but this girl, she would always find ways to not tip me out. She would say things like, "Oh, I accidentally closed everything out. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get you next time." And the first time that happened, I was like, "Okay, well, that's fine." And then it happened again. And then I think it happened one more time. I think it happened one more time, but it was maybe like 3 or 4 months later. So when it happened that final time, guess who was bussing her tables and had to do all of the extra work? Her. So because I'm not the two or the one. Uh, that is that as far as bad coworkers go. Now, the fifth reason to not get into hotels is because the good ones do not stick around. And one of my, actually, quite a few of my really good friends have left the hotel hospitality industry for good. The last one to leave is one of my besties, Linda, and she busted her ASS for that hotel. All of them. She busted her ASS. And I didn't like how she was being treated at both locations. The first one was the one downtown where we met, where um, the managers above her would allow her to get run over by the customers and not have her back whatsoever. So I saw that, we had to put an end to that really quick, because like I said before, everybody has the right to come to work without feeling threatened or intimidated. Um, so she left that hotel, and then she went to another hotel, and she was doing really good. From the prior hotel, it's not hard to do better than that. But so at this new hotel downtown, she was at one of the most beautiful hotels I've ever seen. And still the same problem persisted. People calling out, people no showing, um, people getting fired or they're firing themselves. It's just, it's just, she was just being overworked and very clearly underpaid for the work that she was putting out. And it was affecting her marriage. And working in hotels is a 24/7 business that does not close. So a lot of the times you're not going to have your weekends off. You're not going to have um you know you're not going to be at home in bed at 8 o'clock in the evening. A lot of times that's just not going to happen. Your alarm is going to be going off at 7:30 in the morning, and you're going to be rising and getting in a shower and strolling in at 9. But most of the time you're going to be driving home at 11 o'clock, or a lot of times later than that. You'll be waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You'll be driving home. You'll get that phone call, such and such never showed for their shift, and you have to turn right around and come back. Or you're going to be out with your husband or wife, or whoever you want to be with, and then you get that phone call that, oh, such and such didn't show up. Then you have to drop what you're doing and then have to come back. And all that is usually pretty thankless. And Linda finally got so fed up with it that she left the industry altogether. Now, she was the last one to leave. And whenever the good ones leave, it does kind of put a kind of I'm trying to find the word. You feel like you're being left out of a movement. And then you realize, like, wow, another good person left hotel hospitality for good. And because you want to do such a good job there because you fully believe in the work that you put out. Um, it definitely has you thinking and wondering. Um, and before Linda, there was another really good AGM friend of mine that left the business altogether. And she bounced around from hotel to hotel trying to find the right one that fits her. But, she ended up leaving, and, I was bummed out about that. And, so with me being one of the good ones still in the hotel industry, there will be an end date for this. I don't know when. It's something that, just it's the end date for hotel hospitality is not fixed for me. It's very fluid. Sometimes it moves a little bit closer, sometimes it moves a little bit backwards, depending on what's going on. But being in this industry has been more of a blessing than a curse, to be honest with you. And it's just not anything that I really want to see myself doing. It's not something that I want to move up in. One of my other best friends is a GM now, and I see all of the crap that she goes through. I'm looking at my AGM and all of the crap that she has to go through now, and my GM. I'm looking at all of the crap that he has to go through. And it just seems like, no, not it seems like, but it looks like something I just don't want to be a part of, so, but those are just a few reasons of, you know, so that's just, a few of the many reasons to not get into hotel hospitality. Now, on the next episode, it's going to be a lot more positive and a lot more upbeat. But, all right, well, y'all, that is it for this vlog. I am going to get out here and enjoy the beautiful weather. I need to get my butt into the gym again. And yep, it's time to get my sexy back. All right, I'll catch y'all in the next vlog. Bye.